Theon of the House Grey.
You gave me away! All this. Oh no! No!
That's Theon, your son.
And another for the beast.
How about mine?
I got him!
Unless it was stone.
But it won't last. Because
I yield.
this way.
He wouldn't be a cook. Thank the gods.
He knew the truth about...
On the Iron Islands. Theon Greyjoy is included in his father Balon's war council. Balon reveals his plan to attack the lightly defended north, while their armies are fighting against House Lannister. Theon is fuming when he is assigned a single ship to raid the fishing villages of the Stony Shore, while his sister Yara is put in command of 30 ships and told to take Deepwood Mott. Theon implores his father to reconsider, claiming that if the Greyjoys attack the north, they face the possibility of total destruction if they lose, but if they ally with the Starks and win, Balon will be crowned King of the Iron Island, and House Greyjoy will be awarded Castle Rock and essentially the source of the Lannisters' wealth along with it. But Balon rebuffs Theon and chastises him for becoming loyal to the Starks. Theon challenges his father's lack of faith in him and reminds him that he gave him up as a ward. Balon reacts by hitting his son and storming out as Theon shouts at him from behind. Theon considers warning Robb about his father's actions, but ultimately reaffirms his loyalty to his family by being baptized by a drowned man at Craster's keep. Craster drags his captive Jon Snow back to his keep. He had caught Jon spying on him while he left a baby in the forest for the White Walkers and has beaten him bloody. Craster orders the men of the Night's Watch out of his home, blaming Jon. Lord Commander Jeor Mormont questions Jon about his actions. Jon realizes that Jeor has known all along that Craster is sacrificing his sons. However, Mormont considers Craster too valuable a contact to risk offending, as he is one of their few sources of information and shelter beyond the wall. Mormont himself is disgusted by Craster's human sacrifices, not to mention his incestuous relationships with his own daughters, but he will not interfere, and forbids Jon from doing so, as Craster has helped many members of the Night's Watch, among them Benjen Stark. Jon reveals seeing something take the child. Jeor predicts that whatever it was, Jon will see it again. Samwell Tarly gives Gilly a thimble that once belonged to his mother. He promises to come back for her when they make the return journey to Castle Black at Winterfell. Bran Stark continues to experience strange dreams where he sees the world from the perspective of his direwolf Summer. He follows Hodor into his own bedroom and looks down on himself sleeping. Later, he confides in Maester Luwin, who is dismissive of their significance. In the Stormlands, Catelyn Stark arrives in the camp of King Renly Baratheon during a tournament. She watches Brienne of Tarth defeat Esser Loras Tyrell and claim a place in Renly's Kingsguard. Renly introduces Catelyn to his new wife, Margaery Tyrell. Renly shows off his 100,000-strong army. Catelyn warns Renly to take the war seriously. Renly tries to initiate sex with his lover, Loras, but is rebuffed. Loras reminds him of the importance of fathering an heir and goes to fetch his sister, Queen Margaery. Margaery fails to seduce Renly. She is pragmatic about his homosexuality and suggests including her brother in their lovemaking, asserting the importance of producing an heir in King's Landing. Shae complains to Tyrion Lannister about being confined to his chambers. He liaises with Varys to find her a job that will give her some freedom. Cersei Lannister hosts an awkward dinner for her children and her captive Sansa Stark. Sansa maintains her facade of loyalty to her captors. Shae reports as Sansa's new handmaiden, allowing Sansa to vent some frustration about her inexperience. Tyrion tests the loyalty of the small council by feeding them each a different plan for a marriage alliance involving Princess Myrcella Baratheon. He uncovers Pycelle as an informant to Cersei, when Cersei confronts him about the plan he fed to Pycelle. Tyrion insists on pursuing the exposed plan to marry Myrcella into House Martell of Dorne over Cersei's protests. He has Bronn arrest Pycelle for his treachery. Petyr Baelish is furious about being involved in Tyrion's deception. Tyrion placates him by offering him an opportunity to act as an envoy to Renly and Catelyn in the Riverlands. Arya Stark struggles with insomnia and takes advice from Yoren about coping with her painful memories. He tells her to focus on retribution. They are interrupted by the arrival of Esser Amory Lorch with a force of Lannister men in gold cloaks. Yoren marshals the recruits for a battle. He confronts Esser Amory and refuses to comply with his demands that he surrender the royal bastard Gendry. Yoren dies fighting bravely, but his recruits are overcome. During the fight, Arya rescues Jaqen Hagar from a fire near the prisoner wagon. Lamy Greenhands picks up Gendry's helmet and is wounded by a crossbow bolt. Arya is incapacitated by Polliver, who takes Needle from her. Gendry and Hot Pie are also captured. Lamy begs Polliver to carry him, but Polliver stabs him in the throat with Needle instead. Arya convinces her captors that Lamy was Gendry because he was carrying the helmet. Esser Amory orders the prisoners be taken to Harrenhal. Theon Greyjoy was the youngest son of King Balon Greyjoy of the Iron Islands and the younger brother of Roderick, Meryn, and Yara Greyjoy. Following his father's failed rebellion against the Iron Throne, Theon is taken as a ward, initially hostage, to Lord Eddard Stark of Winterfell. After Eddard's execution in King's Landing, Theon pledges his loyalty to Eddard's eldest son, King Robb Stark, in the subsequent War of the Five Kings, but ultimately betrays Robb and sides with his father in invading the north. Theon takes Winterfell from Robb's brother Bran, but eventually is betrayed by his own men, which leads to his capture by House Bolton. He is tortured and forced into servitude by Ramsay Snow, who turns him into a broken pet named Reek. Theon, however, redeems himself by helping Ramsay's wife and Robb's sister, Sansa Stark, escape from Winterfell and find refuge with her half-brother, Jon Snow. The two later retake Winterfell, defeating Ramsay and House Bolton. Slowly returning to his former self, Theon returns to the Iron Islands, where he learns of his father's death at the hands of his uncle, Euron Greyjoy, who is later elected king of the Iron Islands at the Kingsmoot on Old Wick. In retaliation, Theon flees with Yara to seek out an alliance with Daenerys Targaryen in Meereen, where they pledge their forces to her. Despite abandoning Yara during the assault on the Targaryen fleet, he later appeals to the remaining Ironborn on Dragonstone to rescue her from Euron's custody, a mission they complete successfully. While Yara sails to retake the Iron Islands, Theon returns to Winterfell with a group of Ironborn to fight for House Stark in the Great War. While Yara sails to retake the Iron Islands, Theon returns to Winterfell with a group of Ironborn to fight for House Stark in the Great War. Theon is present during the execution of Will, a deserter from the Night's Watch. He holds the Scabbard of Ice, the greatsword of House Stark, as Lord Eddard Stark draws it to behead the condemned man. On the way back to Winterfell, the party finds a disemboweled stag dead in the road. Looking for the killer, they find a dead female direwolf and 5 pups huddled by the corpse for warmth. A broken piece of the dead stag's antler is embedded in the direwolf's neck. Eddard initially insists the pups be given a quick death, which Theon cavalierly moves to carry out himself, upsetting Bran and angering Robb. However, Jon Snow tells his father that this is an omen, as there are 5 pups and 5 trueborn Stark children. Eddard consents to allowing his children to adopt the pups. Just as the party leaves, Jon finds a 6th pup, an albino. Theon mockingly declares him the runt of the litter and that he belongs to Jon. Later, Robb, Jon, and Theon get shaves and haircuts as they ponder the impending arrival of the royal party, notably the reputation of Queen Cersei Lannister as a great beauty, and the poor reputation of Prince Joffrey Baratheon. Lady Yara Greyjoy is the Lady of the Iron Islands and Lady Reaper of Pike, the daughter and last surviving child of Balon Greyjoy, and older sister and only surviving sibling of Theon Greyjoy. She was raised at Pike, the stronghold of House Greyjoy. Yara is a fierce warrior and commands her own longship, the Black Wind. After the assassination of her father, Yara lays claim to the Iron Islands, but when the Ironborn choose her uncle Euron, who murdered Balon, as their next king, she and Theon flee with a portion of the Iron Fleet and their loyal followers. Yara and Theon become allies with Daenerys Targaryen. Yara is then captured by her uncle when he attacks the Targaryen fleet, though she is later freed by Theon and their remaining loyalists. Intent on claiming the Salt Throne, Yara sails what remains of her army to successfully retake the Iron Islands. After the assassination of Daenerys, Yara participates in a great council in the Dragon Pit and consents to the choosing of Bran Stark as the new king of the Andals and the First Men. Theon has returned to Pike as an envoy from King Robb Stark. Yara rides out to greet him, posing as a commoner to get the measure of her brother. She offers him a lift on her horse up to the castle Pike. He does not recognize her and is relentless in his attempts to seduce her. He presents Robb's suggested alliance to their father. Balon roundly rejects the terms, insisting that he is Ironborn and will seize his crown. He compares Theon unfavorably to Yara, revealing her identity. He says that Yara will lead his assault. Balon details a plan to attack the poorly defended north, while Robb is distracted by his war with House Lannister. Yara is assigned 30 ships to seize Deepwood Motte, the stronghold of House Glover, while Theon is given a single ship to raid fishing villages along the stony shore. Theon is baptized by a drowned man on the shores of Pike in a show of loyalty to his blood relatives. Balon and Yara watch as he proclaims his faith in the drowned god. Yara assembles her ships at Red Harbor. She rides to Lordsport to reach her fleet and encounters Theon struggling to command his unruly crew. She seizes the opportunity to mock him again. Her men would wait a year for her if need be, but Theon's crew is not loyal to him. Yara's force takes Deepwood Motte as planned, but Theon ignores his orders and captures Winterfell instead by luring the garrison, led by Roderick Castle, out to defend Torrhen Square.